Shalom, Jill. Good morning,
Good,
Andrea.
hello.
Hello.
Good morning, Fernando. How are you today? Can you hear us? Do you have a sound?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. I'm happy to be here, Etienne, and ready to follow you. I'm happy from our last conversation as well.
Thank
It
you
was
so
great to meditate on those topics. So,
Thank you for mentioning the triangle, and it opened completely the entire universe yesterday. The Rembrandt sketch about the virgin, the baby, the cat, and the serpent. It completely opened a new way to think, and I would like to thank you for that.
wow. I thank you, Etienne. You know, at night we had a Zohar conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and I brought your sketch, and we talked about it, and was very nice to bring this new idea on the cat, the relationship between the cat and the serpent, the difference, and was very nice. So it brought fruits to our conversation as well.
I'm very thank you.
Thank you.
Very happy. Today I thought to start with another painting by Rembrandt. We can see, do you have the whiteboard open? We can see, we can zoom in. This painting describes Shaul and David. I can make it a bit even bigger. I prepared a text which describes their relations or what lead to such a feeling. With what would you like to start? With a text from Samuel 1 or with a painting? With what would you like to start a conversation today? It's your choice, and please feel free and open to start with your heart. What does your heart want or wishes to start with?
For me, it would be nice to read the text first to give the background, I think.
Thank you. And good afternoon. Thank you, Charles. Good afternoon, Charles. Can you hear us, Charles? I hope you can. Do we have the text open in the whiteboard? Do we see the full text? Please, Jill, tell me if you see it is wide and clear. Shall I make it bigger? Maybe. Fernando, do you see the text? Please give me some input that I will know how to navigate the page for you.
I can see the text. It's a little small, but I can read through it.
Okay, so would you like to divide the reading between you, the two? Would you like to share the text? Let's say,
Sure.
Jill, can you read the 12 first verses? And
Mhm.
Fernando from 13 until the end, and I can make the letters bigger for Jill to read. Is that okay? And then I'll move the text. Is that okay with you, this agreement?
Yes, that's fine with me.
Is the letters are clear, or the how do you say, the text is, I don't think that the letters are
Yeah, I think that I think it's just like stretched out. I'm gonna pull it up.
some.
Is it in the
Okay, I'll try to put it on YouTube as well, Samuel. One second.
this Samuel chapter 16?
Yes, here I put it here. Yes, I'll put it also on YouTube that people would be able to click on the link and read the text. Good morning and folding dawn on YouTube. I'll try to bring another part of the text. One second. Jill, tell me if you see this clear. Do you see the text?
Yes, I can see it. I also have it pulled up in this is from the
Yes,
mishanmamre.org.
yes,
Okay,
Mechon.
so I can read it clear from there. Okay, would you like me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay. And the Lord said unto Samuel, how long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from being king over Israel? Fill thy horn with oil and go. I will send thee to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. And Samuel said, how can I go if Saul hear it? He will kill me. And the Lord said, take a heifer with thee, and say, I am come to sacrifice to the Lord. And call Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will tell thee what thou shalt do, and thou shalt anoint me him whom I name unto thee. And Samuel did that which the Lord spoke, and came to Bethlehem. And the elders of the city came to meet him trembling, and said, comest thou peaceably? And he said, peaceably, I am come to sacrifice unto the Lord. Sanctify yourselves, and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons, and called them to the sacrifice. And it came to pass when they were come that he beheld Eliab, and said, surely the Lord's anointed is before him. But the Lord said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For it is not as man seeth. For man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. Then Jesse called Amminadab, and made him pass before Samuel. And he said, Neither hath the Lord chosen this. Then Jesse made Shammah to pass by, and he said, Neither hath the Lord chosen this. And Jesse made 7 of his sons to pass before Samuel. And Samuel said unto Jesse, The Lord hath not chosen these. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Are here all thy children? And he said, There remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Send and fetch him, for he will not sit down till he come hither. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy and withal of beautiful eyes, and godly to look upon. And the Lord said, Arise, anoint him, for this is he.
Thank you. And Fernando, can you please continue from 13?
Yes.
Thank
So, verse 13.
Yes.
Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. Now the Spirit of the Lord had departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord terrified him. And Saul's servant said unto him, Behold now, an evil spirit from God terrified thee. Let our Lord now command his servants that are before thee to seek out a man who is skillful player on the harp. And it shall be, when the evil spirit from God commit upon thee, that he shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well. And Saul said unto his servants, Provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me. Then answered one of the young men, and said, Behold, I have seen a son of Jesse the Bethlehemite, that is skillful in playing, and a mighty man of valor, and a man of war, and prudent in affairs, and a comely person, and the Lord is with him. Wherefore Saul sent messengers into Jesse, and said, Send me David his son, who is with the sheep. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread, and a bottle of wine, and a kid, and sent them by David his son into Saul. And David came to Saul and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor bearer. And Saul said unto Jesse, saying, Let David, I pray thee, stand before me, for he had found favor in my sight. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from God was upon Saul, that David took the harp and played it with his hand. So Saul found relief, and it was well with him, and the evil spirit departed from him.
you so much for reading the text. Thank you so much. What is the text telling us? What brought to this situation that Shaul, the King Shaul, needs a man that can play music for him? What brought to this um, situation? What led to this situation?
It's was it mourning,
Yes,
being a grief?
yes, yes. And the Lord said unto Shmuel, Samuel was the prophet, and God was asking Samuel, how long you gonna mourn for Shaul? Yes, because I've rejected him. And this is what brought this situation. In a way, God does not wish that Shaul will be a king anymore, and there's a process. he leads Samuel to the house, to the home of Jesse, and there is a process of pointing the right man to be the next king. And I would like us to move slowly, and I would like to, how do you say that I'm sorry for the text, which is not coherent at the moment, but I hope that the painting is better. And I would like to move to the painting of Rembrandt. And what is happening here? What do we see in the picture? Who do we see in the picture? What is happening? Who would like to describe the relation between the two? Where is Shaul? Where is David? How they are positioned? Who would like to describe what we see in the painting?
We
Who
can
would like?
see Shaul
Yes,
with an eye closed,
yes. Which eye is closed by Shaul?
the left eye. Left eye.
Yes, the left. Yes, is closed by what? By what? What is covering the left eye?
A hand, yeah,
Eh,
under his clothes.
yes,
And we can see David playing the harp.
yes. Can you describe the head of Shaul the king? Where is Shaul located in the painting? Where is David located in the painting?
Shaul is on the left side, and David is on the right side, and Shaul is standing in a higher place than David.
Yes. What
He's proud and he's the king, but
is the
we can see the little David playing the harp as well.
what is so strange about the King Shaul as Rembrandt painted him? Usually, when we see a king, the king or the queen, what do they wear on their head? The king, the queen, the prince or the princess, what do they wear on their head?
The crown.
The crown. And what is happening here? Let us have a closer look. What Rembrandt wants to show us here? What is happening? What is happening here?
You can barely see the crown. It's hidden by his head piece.
So the crown does not rest the on the king's head. Is that right?
Yeah.
It just hovers of some kind of fabric. There's a fabric that catches or protect his head or the hair of his head. Fabric or a scarf, something binded his head, and the crown is hovering on the fabric. The crown does not touch his head. Why is that so? Why Rembrandt choose to paint King Shaul like this, and how this prism or perspective of Rembrandt directs us to this text? How does this text opens?
Usually, usually the hairs can be related with the spirit connection, like
Mhm.
Samson. And
Mhm.
when you have the crown in your head and your hairs, you have the connection. But here we have something. binding his head, something
Mhm.
between the crown and his head.
Excellent. There is a barrier. Excellent. There is a barrier between the crown and the head. Usually, like you say, the crown is touching the hair. The hair in Hebrew, se'al. I'll write it here. I would like us to discuss, but I don't wish to write too much today because I'd like us to focus. Se'al, hair. Se'al, here. Make it a bit thinner. Se'al is not just hair. Se'al, it is not just hair. It's the same letters like sha'al, gate. Sha'al, gate. And as you said, there is a barrier because the hair, our hair, the human hair, which we have on our head, is a gate to the wisdom, to the mind. And here you said something is covering the hair, the gate, that the crown will not um, touch the hair of Shaul. Why is that so? Why the crown is not touching the hair directly? Why does Rembrandt need to how do you say, to protect or to cover his head from what? For what reason? And how does the fact that his hair is binded or protected to the fact that God is speaking to Samuel the prophet and say, don't mourn any longer because I've chosen another man. Does the crown like to sit on a sad man's head?
No,
No. To protect the crown, there is a fabric that hides or separates the crown from the head. It means the kingdom of Shaul is temporal. The crown does not rest directly on his head, it's just hovering until it will move to David. This is why the crown does not touch his head. Also, the hair of our head, se'ar, it's the same letters like se'ara, stormy, se'ar, se'ara. I'll move it a bit here. This is se'ar, hair with the left chin. It has the same sound like se'ar, storm, se'ara. We don't take the feminine. This is storm. So Shaul is in a stormy period. He is in a stormy period, and Rembrandt, in a way, shows that he is in a stormy period by wrapping his head with fabric, with a scarf to contain the storm, to contain the sadness, to embrace the depression, in order that the crown could hover on top, that the crown of God will not be harmed, as not that it can be harmed, but to create a certain of barrier between holiness and unholiness. As the sages say, that the Shekhinah, the Holy Spirit, cannot dwell in a sad heart. Or the Hebrew saying, En Shekhinah shora mitoch atzvut. The Shekhinah is not dwelling or coming when a person is sad or crying or in depression. The same space cannot host holiness and depression at the same time. It does not go. This is why Rembrandt chose to separate and to cover the darkness, cover the hair, cover the storm, cover the depression with a fabric, with a scarf. And as Fernando said also, there's a veil that also hides a Shaul left eye. Each human has two eyes. The right eye is the positive, optimistic, sees the good, is like the sun, always illuminating, unconditional love. And the left eye is associated with the moon, with the critic, critical thinking, with the deficiencies, sadness. It's like the moon, that only one day per month it's a full moon, and all the rest is a lacking illuminator, lesser illuminator. And Rembrandt chose to cover his left eye not just with the hand that Fernando, it's also the hand with a fabric, with a curtain, with a veil. Do you see a tear coming from his right eye? Do you see Shaul crying? Is he crying? Do you see this part?
Yes. Beautiful. It's and when we have the two eyes, we have the 260 because our
Yes,
eye is 130. The
yes,
two eyes.
yes,
He's lacking the connection with the love and mercy from Hashem.
yes, yes. Yes, in a way, there is a split here. Yes, you see the face is split into two parts. If we could, I don't want to ruin, but if we take a focus, let's take maybe color purple, I'm not sure. But let's see what we see if we make a line here on the nose. One second, I need a straight line. Second. I try to see if I do it like this, look at the face from the purple line, look at this, so to speak, chapel. One second, there's a chapel here. Second. Look at the temple. This is the temple. Look what is happening inside of it. His Parthenon, his temple, hosts a lot of sadness.
He's only seen one side of the story. Like
Yes, yes, one side. Yeah. Now, do you have any questions that you would like to ask? Or impressions that you would like to share, maybe on YouTube? Nedelia, good morning. Shalom, shalom.
I have a question.
Yes, Jill.
Is he sad because he's being removed, or is he being removed because he's sad?
He's being removed because he's sad. He's a borrowed king, and Rembrandt noticed he's borrowed for the hour because Moses told him already in the desert, when you will come to the promised land, don't look for a king. There is one sovereign. infinite spirit. Don't look for a king of flesh and blood. He warns them. He warns them not to wish for a king of flesh and blood, but they demanded. So God gave them by the hour a borrowed king, the name Shaul. The name Shaul in Hebrew means borrowed. Like we borrow a book in the library. Shaul, we are asking for a book, we are borrowing a book. Shoalim Sefer, we look. This is to ask for a book, to borrow. Shoel is to borrow. How do we spell borrow? To borrow? B.
Borrow.
Thank you. So Shaul means a borrow. He was borrowed for a while. For a while, for a certain time, he was borrowed. And why was he borrowed? Who, from which family does he come? Why God has to borrow Shaul to be the first king? From which tribe does he come? Shaul is the son of Kish. Let's go a bit to writing. Excuse me, I need to write a bit. 1 second. And we shall see why there's a need to borrow a king for a while, for a certain time. Shaul is Ben Kish, Shaul ben Kish, Shaul ben Kish, Shaul, son of Kish, from Benjamin, Ben Ish Yemini, Ben Ish Yemini, Yemini, Yamin, right, is for Benjamin, from the tribe of Benjamin. And who is the mother of Benjamin?
Rachel.
Rachel. Rachel is associated with which tree?
Tree of knowledge.
Yes.
Yes, again, Charles?
Tree of knowledge.
Tree of knowledge. Thank you. Tree. Yes. Tree of knowledge. So God has to borrow, like to take a loan, to borrow, to take a loan from the tree of knowledge. This is Shaul. He is a temporary king for a while, because what's supposed to govern is the tree of life. This is why he has to borrow Shaul, the son of Kish. Kish, by the way, Kish is 410. Kof is 100. Shin 300. Yod is 10. It's like Kadosh. He's borrowing a man, son of Kish, for a while, because his mother is Rachel, tree of knowledge, because we cannot maintain holiness from the tree of knowledge. So we just borrow, like we take a spark, like we light a match, a spark, but the real king will be David. Because who is the mother, if we take the grandmother of David, who is his
Leah. Leah.
Leah, 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 the hidden, 36, Ohel, sorry, Leah is the letters of Ohel, the hidden, Ohel, the hidden, the night. The belief, our belief is always pose itself in our nights when we don't see where we're going at. We something that our whole life are standing on belief, because we don't know what will happen the next day, the next morning, the next step. We don't know. So there is a need to borrow and then to hand the kingdom to David, son of Leah. Let's try to. Do you have like things that you would like to share also, people on YouTube, before we should focus a bit in David and the harp and the relations? I'm not sure that we can cover the whole the whole painting today, but we can start discussing different aspects.
Just before to go to David, it's
Yes,
interesting that this veil that is covering his eyes
yes,
is also covering his heart.
yes, 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 and only, like you say, only his right hand is, how do you say, revealed, right? Arm is revealed. Maybe holding the throne. It's not clear what he's holding in his right hand. He is the
Only the
son of
Lord. I'm
only
sorry.
what? Yes?
Maybe he has only the right side, only the logical thinking, and what you see, it's what you get. Only the manifested, the the right side, the bright side. You know, the dark side he is not able to manage, like the unconscious. He only has this conscious approach. I don't know. This is why he is dominated by the dark side, because he is not able to deal with it. I'm just thinking it and thank you.
You're lost.
Shalom, Charles. I think Katie lost her mic.
Shalom, Fernando. Yeah, I think it's network. She will come back.
Yes,
Mm.
her mic is muted.
And Philip is quiet.
I think he is without a microphone, so maybe.
Yeah. And she's trying to come back.
No, I think so. I don't know if she knows that we are not listening.
It looks like she doesn't know because it looks like she's moving between the pictures.
Yes.
Yeah, mine is showing she's trying to come back, but
Yeah.
Yes, she's talking.
Patty, we can't hear you.
Yes.
Can you hear? Hello, Karen. Hello, Fernando.
You can hear you now.
I can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Felipe. Good morning. I hope you can hear us. I'm sorry the conversation dropped, and I don't know where, in which part. What was the last thing?
E.T.,
Yes.
now we can hear you. It was just after I said that his heart was covered, and you start to talk about David, and we could not hear.
Hmm. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And let's go back to where we to the fact that his heart is covered here. You said that his heart is covered, and you say I said that the right arm is revealed, and you were saying that maybe only half of this. Do you remember?
Yes, it
Yes,
was just like that. Yes.
yes. And can we look at David, focus at David's face and see what kind of might might he might thinking while playing? What does he see? Might if you would see a person standing or sitting in front of you and playing a harp, what does he see? Felipe, what might he see? Do you have a sound? Excuse me, I don't hear.
Hello, Eti.
Hello, good
Shalom.
shalom.
Eti, could you please repeat the question?
Yes, what David, if David, you were sitting with David in the same room, looking at his face, playing the harp, what kind of impression comes to you when you see this face with this posture of the head leaning against the harp when his fingers are touching the strings and he's playing to Shaul and Shaul is behind the veil? What comes through his mind and heart in this moment?
I think it's a kind of inner contemplation. He's in. It's like when it's most like the face of Matthew in the another painting, I
Hmm.
guess. He's contemplating, and he's not looking uh, at the at the strings of the harp.
Hmm.
He's not he's not making effort to play at all. To play it at all. It looks like he's he's like in a front to front relation with the inner. I don't know. It's something like this. It shows.
Could he see the the dark the darkest pool or the darkest well where Shaul is, and from there he can play for him?
No, that's beautiful, Etty, because it's interesting because all the way, all the story, the the book of Samuel,
Hmm.
David is always referring to Shaul as the king, with a respect attitude, and even trying to help him always. And I guess he's in this moment he's trying to lift up the spirit of Shaul or something like that.
Yes. To be able to lift Shaul from where he is, he has to descend to the same depths to rise him from the Sheol. Shaul and Sheol are the same letters. Shaul, 1 second. Shaul and Sheol. Shaul is with the U sound and Sheol with the O sound. To bring him back, he has to dive to the same dark well that Shaul is in. Otherwise, he cannot lift his spirit. So his hands are holding the strings of the harp, and the look that comes from him is he's contemplating. He's trying to feel where Shaul is, and to go to the right place and to transfer what he sees or feels to the connection with the mind and the fingers, and he will play on the harp what the deep well transmitting for him. So he tries to tune his inner to the depths, and from there to bring the strings, and Shaul could elevate, but he has to descend to the same place, and the strings are the bridge. Does he have a face of mercy, David? Does he have a merciful glance at his face?
Yeah.
Yes. I think he is still a boy, a young fellow, and he has the beginning of a mustache. Do you see here? I'm not sure that you can see, but I'll try to make here.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like juvenile boys, they don't have yet beard. Yes, beard zakan is like this one bought wisdom. The beard will appear only later in age, but at the age of 14, 14 is also the value of David. This is about the age that he is now. They have only the boys, the young fellows, they have only mustache. Mustache is the space between the nose and the upper lip. And this space is known for mercy. Mercy. We have 13 attributes of mercy that Moses was asking from God to forgive the golden calf sin, and one of them is mercy, and this is the place of mercy, the mustache. I'm sorry, there is no connection of a voice.
Yes.
We are using it. It's beautiful.
Do you hear? Do you have a voice connection?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
Yes. Yes.
I was just thinking that in Shaul,
Mm-hmm.
there is this just one eye of his,
Mm-hmm.
and it is pointed. It is looking to the. It is looking for us.
Yes, I
It's
will move it. Yes, 1 second. I'll move to the first. Yes, yes,
yes, it's a kind of guilty look,
yes.
or a sad look. Uh, there are many feelings are popping out of this look of Saul, regret, or uh, and it's interesting because it's the only one that is in a way it's coming out of the picture. It's in a communication with this uh, who is looking at the picture. It's like he's telling us, showing us Sheol. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the Sheol is in his very eyes.
Mm-hmm. And David, on the contrary, you said that David, in David.
David, yes, he's looking down at the Sheol.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's quite interesting. It looks like Saul wants to tell something, you know,
The,
like a confession.
yes, it's like a confession. Yes, yes.
Yes,
Like it,
he,
what is between them? The yes,
he wants to confess he's not the king, the sovereign,
yes,
sovereign.
yes, yes. In a way, the tree of knowledge, if we can look at Shaul as a, it's not even the symbol of the tree of knowledge. It is the tree of knowledge, and it brings a person to the Sheol, to the darkest well of his life. While the tree of life, in terms of measures, we can see the tree of life is so little. Yes, this is David. The tree of life is so little, is the potential. This is the sum. This is the sum. And here we have the four fingers, the tree of knowledge. And David, this little David has so much mercy to the tree of knowledge, or to Shaul, which is like bigger and larger and governs on space and time. Yes, this is quite interesting. Questions or impressions? Or
I have
yes,
two questions.
yeah.
The first one is that if we can relate this, uh, what Saul is the King Saul is doing with the Lejado Di, the,
Mm,
the song, to not cover the face and not to mourn,
yes,
because Hashem is coming, and the glory of the sky is
yes.
waiting for us. So this is the first, if if you think that we have some relation with this. And my second question is that in our lives we usually build a system to survive in the world, and we became our king of um, our daily lives. We
Mm,
know what to do, and we follow with strict respect our duties and everything. but there is a time that we have to let it go, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not easy. It's easy to talk about it, but it's not easy to do it like Saul is doing. He's dying in this
Mm-hmm.
painting. So if you could say something about these ideas.
Yes. Shall I start from the first or from the song of Shabbat Lecha Dodi? This is what you're asking? This is the
Yes.
first question. If I understood, when the Elizabeth, the one who wrote the poem, says, "Wake up from the ashes, because the holiness cannot dwell in sadness, in sorrow, deep sorrow." So he is calling us in this poem to us, humanity, shake up from the ashes, shake up from your sadness, because the day is coming and we have to be prepared. And the great preparation is happiness of the heart. This is the first, and of course it is related. And the second is that you ask how in daily life we shade, well, how do you say, we shade the shells, yes, and how we move from being how do we move from being Shaul to be David? This is your question.
Yes.
It
Exactly.
is. It is reflected in our daily life, and there are questions also on YouTube, which I would like to turn to 1 second. It is, we do like scanning, like they do in the airport scanning. Yes, it's good if we look into ourselves few times per day and see if we're sad, if we're happy, what kinds of thoughts are running in our system, in our forehead, in our temple. Here we see, here in Shaul, this is the forehead. What is crossing us if we feel upset and tired and sad? For what reason? And to shade, to take off those, because this is not real. This is not real. This is the shells of time that we stick on our forehead, the misfortune that we sad, that we are losers, and all of this. To remove this and to return always to the one. The movement is always from the four to the one, to the tree of life. So if it's good, if it depends of how much we are available to this inner conversation, but to see if I'm sad at this moment or something sad is crossing my mind, to remove it, to remove this doubt, because doubt we have in time and space. In the realm of tree of life, we have only one: unity and love and mercy. Yes. Did I answer your question, Fernando?
Yes. Thank you, It. Yes.
Most welcome. Daniel Osborne is writing the story of the actual painting is amazing as well. It is it is a composite of at least 10 separate canvas pieces. This is what Daniel is writing, and Stuart also writes next, because I I barely can see the writing. There's something with the letters today that is not coming. And Stuart also is writing. David is listening deeply with his ears and his eyes looking downwards, speaks of how he is in a feeling state. That's accurate, Stuart. And Stuart is writing Shaul's eyes face directly outward, as do the eyes of someone who is perplexed over something. David's loyalty to Shaul speaks about the depths of David. That's correct. Yes. And Folding Dawn is writing, the one is rejected in time, the one manifests in time, wrapped in darkness to be accepted. Very nice conversation here on YouTube. Any more questions, suggestions that you would like to share with us today?
Can I just share something personal?
Yes, of course.
I write down my dreams, and
Mhm.
so this last night, I came across some of my dreams, and so one of them was that I had a dream to take my eyes off myself, my problems, issues, and pain, and focus on the Word. And so when I look at the picture, it kind of brings that back that um, Saul is kind of focused on maybe himself and what he's dealing with, whereas David looked like he's focused on where he's going to next and kind of focused on God.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. It is I find it's deeply engaging that Rembrandt managed to create this sense of David. Whatever is happening, he's always with Shaul. He's just listening and with him with his own little being. Because he's so little being, he's with him all the time. He's just with him, though he doesn't look at him, but he feels him so deeply and so he's sincerely inside carrying in his heart Shaul's pain, and he's playing for him. He's just I cannot delete this face of David from my heart. It just he's with him all the time. He's just a boy, and he's carrying the weight of the adult.
Amazing. Really, really amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank
You're so
you.
dear to me, all of you, and this is the most deepest feelings that I have in my heart. I share with you. You're very dear to me, and I wish to share these depths with you. So thank you for participating.
You the same, Eddie. Thank you.
Thank you
Yes,
so
it's
much.
the same, Eddie.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Eddie.
much.
Yes, yes.
Uh, just a moment. Who push Benjamin?
Again, again.
Kush Benjamin.
Kish, Kish, Kish.
Kush.
What?
Kush.
Maybe on Slack. Maybe on Slack. Can you ask this on Slack and I shall answer?
Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom. Thank you all for coming
Thank you.
today. Thank you. Have a beautiful day. We shall meet here tomorrow.
Shalom, shalom.